Hello guys and welcome to a new episode of the Football Show. Today we're going to talk about yesterday's Premier League games and also games from other European leagues. So let's get started. Let's start with yesterday's Premier League games. First game, Crystal Palace against Wolves. Crystal Palace managed to win at the last minute with the winning goal from Evan Gessand, despite there was some periods of the game where actually Wolves looked very, very good. Then when I went down to 10 men, which kind of gave Crystal Palace an advantage for the rest of the game, and they managed to go on and win the game. Nottingham Forest against Liverpool. Liverpool win 1-0, and how did Liverpool win this game? I have absolutely no idea, because Liverpool didn't deserve to win this game at all. In the second half, they made some readjustments, and it got better to some extent. But that that first half. I mean, that first half performance from Liverpool was absolutely awful. That was probably Liverpool's worst first half performance under Arne Slot by far. The way they performed that first half was terrible. I mean, they were getting dominated, and it was a really, really poor performance, making lots of mistakes, very poor. Second half, it was still not great, I would say, even though they made some readjustments and they still got better in the second half to some extent, but still wasn't good. Nottingham Forest should have been winning in that first half, to be honest with you. Liverpool, and you look at Nottingham Forest, they have some goal scoring problems. Without the talisman, Chris Wood, who is the same player, they're crying out for him to come back. They cry out for him to come back because this season obviously he's not been firing all cylinders in terms of goals, and he's had some injuries as well. Because they need him, because except Wood, they don't have many top goal scorers in the attack. Nottingham Forest. So yeah, Liverpool, they took advantage of it and they did better the second half. They scored that first goal from McAllister, to the first one. Which it was a handball. I think it was the right decision in my opinion. And the second one, I understand people's frustrations, but I mean, if you look at that goal, you look at how it was onside, that close. It was like by an inch between Van Dijk and Aina, and it was decided by the feet. Where if you look at the shoulder, Van Dijk was offside, but. Sometimes I don't understand how these people in the Premier League referees in the Stockley Park, how they draw the lines, because I've seen this kind of goal get stood where, for example, Newcastle, Man City, where you're like, how does that goal stand? Because Liverpool, for to score that goal, how does that goal stand? So sometimes these referees are just terrible, and I'm gonna talk more about referees as well, because but anyway, absolutely woeful performance from Liverpool that first half. However, they recovered the second half. But McAllister scored. It was disallowed. He scored the second goal. It was nearly disallowed, but this time it stood. And Liverpool, you have to say they kind of deserved it in that moment in terms of winning that game, because they scored the first goal and it was disallowed towards the end, and they scored another one. It would have been let's say, sad for Liverpool if it got disallowed again. But if in terms of the generalization of the game, in terms of the performance, they did deserve to win. Maybe a draw, but they did deserve to win with their performance. So, but Liverpool, they win. It's a very important win for them. They are now level on points with Manchester United and Chelsea. Manchester United still have to play today against Everton. If they win, they'll go 3 points clear of Chelsea and Liverpool, and 4 points clear. 3 points behind Aston Villa as well. So, yeah, very big game for United today to take advantage on Chelsea and Aston Villa dropping points this weekend. West Ham also, Nottingham Forest, they are 2 points clear of the relegation zone, 2 points clear of West Ham, 2 points behind Tottenham. So yeah, it's going to be a big one. That's for sure, for that relegation battle. I mean, if you want to be honest, I mean, I can see Nottingham Forest going down, even though they did well in this game and they did fantastically well during the week, beating Fenerbahce 3-0. It's difficult, their performance, the amount of managers they've sacked this season. It's difficult to put a great trust on Nottingham Forest to survive. West Ham, they've got something in them. They can survive. Leeds United have done really well in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 months. Tottenham, I mean, I could see Tottenham getting relegated, if I'm being very honest with you. Yeah, with the quality of the players they have, but I could see them getting relegated. With the chemistry they have as a team is terrible. So, yeah. Sunderland against Fulham. Sunderland lose another home game. They lose 3-1 to Fulham. Very good win for Fulham as they go up to 10th above Newcastle United. Very good win for Fulham. Final game. Tottenham against Arsenal. Arsenal win 4-1. I mean, Arsenal had 2 difficult results against Brentford and against Wolves. They bounced back in this game and they responded in an emphatic way. Fantastic win. In the first half, they were in general, the response, especially in that second half, they were ruthless in front of goal. Arsenal, and you don't usually see that from Arsenal because sometimes also you could see them, being, let's say, cautious and not attacking and being balanced defensively and offensively. But this game, they really went for it. They really went for it. They were up for it. They went from they were meant. They were like, yeah, we're not taking prisoners here, basically. So you have to be impressed by Arsenal's performance. And yes, people say, oh, it's a one-off. Oh, it's because of the North London derby dynamic. Oh, it's only the response to recent form that Arsenal had, drawing 2 games against Brentford, against Wolves as well. But you have to still give credit to Arsenal. They responded really well, and the way they played this game, the way they took this game seriously, was fantastic. And of course, they have to take this game seriously because it's North London derby. But also, of course, Tottenham is a huge rival to Arsenal in terms of the cities. So North London derby is always hatred between these two. So you have to give Arsenal credit. They performed really well. Ep82, he started this game and he was fantastic again. And he was fantastic against Tottenham in the first game, scoring a hat-trick. And he did it in this game, scoring 2 goals. He was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Brilliant performance from him. And then, Victor Gyökeres again. I mean, Arteta started to listen to me. You should start him. He scored 2 goals, and 2 very good goals, by the way. That striker goals, I mean, he was fantastic as well. Brilliant performance from him. He could have easily scored more. Brilliant performance from him. He had a very good performance. 2 goals, especially in the North London derby, a big game. He did it in a big game. Yes, you could say Tottenham are a terrible team, but it's a big game. It's a game where you have to step it up, and he stepped up really well. And Victor Gyökeres, I mean, a lot of people are saying he's a flop and all this kind of stuff. I mean, he's scored 10 goals this season in the Premier League. I think he scored 10 goals. Yeah, 10 goals in the Premier League. 1 goal in the Carabao Cup and 4 goals in the Champions League. He scored 15 goals in all competitions. That's not bad for a guy who's in his first season in the Premier League coming from Portugal. So he's not being as terrible as people say, or as bad as people say. So obviously he's had some struggles, but he responded really well, and he started to get click into form recently. He scored 2 goals against Sunderland, I think, scoring against Leeds. Scored in this game 2 goals. If he continues in this form, he could have a great end to the season, and he could be one of the key people to leading to Arsenal winning this Premier League title. So, yeah, brilliant performance for him. Ep82 is a fantastic performance for him, and he can be consistent enough. He can be much better. Obviously, when he's at his best, he's a phenomenal. He performs really, really well. When you see in games like against Brentford, he struggled. But in this game, he was absolutely fantastic. And maybe some part of it is because of Tottenham's, let's say, defensively they were leaving a lot of spaces, so it gives higher chances for the attackers of the opponents to score. So it's also to some degree on that, and not having to play against low blocks. But yeah, I'll still have to give him credit. He performed really well, and the guy loves playing against Tottenham. Maybe it's because they nearly signed him in the summer. And he absolutely destroyed them in the Emirates, and he destroyed them in this game. So brilliant performance from him. but he should start in the next game. I think he should start against Chelsea. Also, Chelsea is a type of game where Chelsea like to attack. So I think if Eze plays in that game, I think he will perform really well in my opinion. So yeah, Arsenal's. So yeah, brilliant performance from Eberechi Eze, and he needs to keep this going if he wants to keep starting. Because also, let's not forget, Eze, when in some past, whenever he's played, he scored against Crystal Palace, he scored 2 goals against Tottenham yesterday, he scored a hat-trick at the Emirates. Whenever he's at his best, he's a fantastic player, and he can produce really well and score great goals for Arsenal. But it's just that consistency, like in the Brentford game where he was not at his best. So he's a very good player, but also not only that that also playing as low blocks can be a problem. But also, sometimes Arsenal don't like attack. Basically, they sometimes sit back and they control some things. They balance their style, and the way they think and the way they play. So let's see. But he was fantastic, and also you have to give them credit. I mean, they've had a couple of last 7-10 days, difficult days in terms of the Premier League, and they're drawing games. The way they performed, it was a very good performance, and they were much better than Tottenham. They were much better. Even when they were not winning in the first half, they were much better. I mean, Declan Rice made that silly mistake where he let Tottenham back into the game. I mean, Tottenham did absolutely nothing at all, except the goal and the second goal maybe, where I could say maybe it was wrongly to be the Salah in my opinion. But at the same time, Tottenham didn't deserve absolutely anything in this game. They deserve to get absolutely destroyed, in my opinion. So, yeah, very good win for Arsenal, and they got 5 points clear of Man City. But obviously, City still have a game to play. As for Tottenham, I mean, what a dreadful performance. You think like a new manager bounce, North London Derby at home with their fans would make them like motivated and play in a much better way. But they were absolutely woeful. Still got destroyed. I don't know how they were not losing that first half. I mean, except mistake. I mean, Declan Rice, he made a very poor mistake. I mean, he was telling to these players, calm down, stay focused after they scored that first goal. And when you make a mistake like that, like, come on. But except the mistakes that Arsenal made, Tottenham were getting absolutely destroyed. Second half, absolutely destroyed. Defensively, absolutely all over the place. I don't know how they lost 4-1 in this game. They should have lost 7-1 or 8-1 or something, because they were absolutely woeful. However, you could make a case is that if it went to 2-2, and let's say, and the goal stood that Colomani scored, because I don't think that should have been disallowed in my opinion. I think that it should have been stood, because we've seen this kind of goals before happen in the past, and the referee allows it. I remember Liverpool against Tottenham a couple of months ago, where Ep82 scored a similar goal, and the referee allowed it. I think it's right, because it depends on how big is that foul, how big is the contact, how big is the push. Is it just a touch, a nudge, physically, and Premier League is about physicality, of course, nowadays. Then okay, but if it's a serious foul, then okay. I don't think that was a serious foul. I think Gabriel Magalhaes made it bigger than it is, in my opinion. So I think that goal should have been stood. But even if that goal stood, Tottenham would still get battered. That's how bad they were. Yes, they got gifted a goal from the mistake from Declan Rice, 1-1, and they still got battered. So it's difficult to trust this Tottenham side. It's very difficult. And to be honest with you, I mean, if you look on current form, this Tottenham side is the worst team in the Premier League. The worst team. Wolves are not the worst team. Yes, they were the worst team, let's say, in the first 10-15 games. But I think from that game against Arsenal, when they lost 2-1, but they played really well, they're not the worst team. The worst team in this league, especially the current form in the last 2 months, is Tottenham Hotspur. It's not Wolves, it's not Burnley, it's not West Ham, because these teams like Burnley and West Ham can give other teams a fight, a good game. But Tottenham, they are the worst team in the Premier League. The worst team. In terms of chemistry, in terms of how they play, in terms of form, they're the worst team, by far.